Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this little Valentine here. It's really cute. So it's got a snap. You can open it up and put some candy or some jewelry or whatever you want to put in it there. And then on the back it's cardboard, so you can write a little message, whatever you want to put on it. It's actually really easy. I think it turned out really cute. It's my first homemade Valentine I ever made. Gave it to my hubby. It had 2 pieces of candy in it. But I want to take a minute too to ask you if you could maybe give me a subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. I'd really appreciate that, so I can get my channel built up. Also, you'll never miss a video tutorial when I put one out, because when you subscribe you'll get a notification of when I put a new video out. And also at the end of this video, if you like it, if you could give it a like and a share, that'd be great too. Okay, now this one, you can see how big it is by my hand there, if that makes. This one's actually made with Red Heart Super Saver Red. I'm not going to use, and this is made with a Caron on the edging is. You can use Red Heart, that's fine. What I'm going to use for this one is, it's the Caron Simply Soft Party Yarn, and it is just a 4-ply 100% acrylic yarn. Now you can use any type of 4-ply that you have, like you see how I use Red Heart for this. You can even use cotton if you wanted to. This one's called Red Sparkle, and then for the trim I'm using the white, which I believe is called Snow Sparkle. And the red that I used was this Red Heart Super Saver was Cherry Red, in case you wanted to know that. So that's the yarns I'm going to be using. And then you're going to need a snap-on. This is a size 3 snap-on, I believe. Yeah, size 3. And if you want to do it like mine, a ribbon rose. Because I got the ribbon rose here. And the snap-on here. And you're going to need hot glue, because I did not sew these snap buttons on. I hot glued them, because hot glue and yarn, they kind of have a very good relationship. I mean, they stick together forever. In my experience with hot glue and yarn, once you hot glue something to yarn, you are not getting that baby off. They are stuck to one another. So you're going to need just make sure it's a low heat hot glue gun, because if you get a high heat, it can burn the yarn. It don't always, but it can. And then you're going to need a piece of cardboard for the back. You can use white poster board, you know, something that's thick that you can write on. I actually use the back of a notebook. Here's my notebook. I will glue my heart on the blue side, and then you know, it'll be white on the other side. So, I mean, that's just any type of white, kind of thicker cardboard will work. And one more thing, I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. So enough of my blabbing. Let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, you want to start off with a slip knot on your hook. And then we're going to work a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first ring or first stitch to form a ring. And you can use the magic circle here if you'd like. But go ahead and slip stitch right into there and chain 1. Now what we're going to do is work 12 double crochets through the center of the ring. So just yarn over and go right through the ring and draw your loop back up and do your double crochet, and we're going to do that 12 times. That chain 1 does not count as anything. It does not count as a stitch. So we got 1 double crochet, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and here is 12. And you can pull your tail, and that will close up that center circle a little bit more, and then you can always sew it together at the end more. Now to end round 1, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into that first double crochet, and you'll have 12 stitches now, 12 double crochets at the end of round 1. So for round 2, we're going to start it off with a chain of 1, and we're going to work 2 double crochets right there in that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. So right there, that little hole, yarn over and work 2 double crochets right in there. So there's 1 and there's 2. Now I'm going to work my way around, working 2 double crochets in every single stitch. And you want to continue this until you get back to the beginning. So 2 doubles every stitch all the way around till you get back right here. Okay, once you make it back around to the end of round 2, you want to go ahead and slip stitch into your first double crochet, and you'll have 24 stitches now at the end of round 2. So for round 3, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to put 1 double crochet right there back into that same stitch. And now we're going to go to the next stitch, and we're going to put 2 double crochets into that stitch. The next one is just going to get 1 double crochet, and then the next one will be 2 double crochets. So that's the repeat for round 3. 1 double into the next stitch, and then 2 doubles into the next. One double into the next, and then 2 doubles into the next. So you want to repeat this pattern all the way around until you get back to the beginning. Okay, once you make it to the end of round 3, what you want to do is slip stitch into your first double crochet, and now you should have a total of 36 stitches at the end of round 3. So we're going to start round 4, and we're going to start making the heart part. So what we're going to do is chain 1. Now that's going to kind of act as a slip stitch. We're not going to put another stitch into that same stitch. What we're going to do is do a half double crochet into the next stitch, like that, and then we're going to put 1 double crochet and then 1 triple crochet into the next. So you start with 1 double, and then you put a triple in the same stitch. Just like that. Now we're going to put 2 triple crochets in each of the next 3 stitches. So we'll go to the next stitch and we'll put 2 triple crochets in it. So there's 1, 2, and we'll go to the next one and put 2 triples. There's 1 and 2, and then one more time, 2 triples into the next stitch. Like that. Now we're going to put 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So we're going to put a double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Now the next stitch, we're going to put 2 half double crochets into it. So go right into the next one and work 2 half doubles. So there's 1 and 2 half doubles in the same stitch. Now we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So there's 1 single in the next, 1 single into the next, and then 1 single into the next. Now we're going to put 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So there's 1 and 2. Now we're going to put 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. There's 1 and 2. And the next stitch we'll put 2 single crochets into that stitch. Who would have thought making a heart would be so complicated? I guess it's just like being in love. Okay, the next stitch is going to get 1 half double crochet into the next, 2 double crochets in each of the next 2 stitches. So we're going to go to the next stitch and we're going to put 1 and 2 into that one, and then again the next stitch will be 1 and 2 in that one. So we've made it to the point of our heart. So now we're going to start going back around again. So we're going to put 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, and then we're going to put 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So 1 there and 1 there, and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to put 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. 2 half doubles. There's 1 and 2. And now we're going to put 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 double in that one, and then 1 double into the next one. And now we're going to put 2 triple crochets in each of the next 3 stitches. So we're going to go to the next stitch and put 2 triple crochets. There's 1, and 2, 2 triples into the next. There's 1 and 2, and then 2 triples into the next. There's 1 and 2, and now the next stitch we're going to put a triple crochet and then a double crochet in the same stitch. So go into the next stitch and put 1 triple and then 1 double into the same stitch, like that. Okay, now we're going to put 1 half double into the next stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch into this last stitch here, like that. And we're also going to just slip stitch right here in the same spot that we started in. So the same little spot here that we slip stitch into the beginning, we're going to slip stitch into that too. And we're going to tie that off, clip it. Now there is our heart. So what I'm going to do first is take my piece of cardboard. I'm just going to do a little outline, just a little rough draft with a pen of the size of this heart. Don't have to be perfect. And I want it to be this size before I put the lace around it. Just to give you an idea. Oh my gosh, look how bad that is. Put that back up there and do that again. There we go. See, mine looks like crud, but at least I got a general idea. So now I'm going to go ahead and hide these tails real quick before I put the lace stuff on them. So just go ahead and hide them in the back here. Weave them in a couple times. Don't have to be that great because we're going to be gluing the back of this onto the cardboard, so I don't think it's going to come undone. Okay. Now we'll start with the white trim. Okay, now I'm going to start the white, and I'm going to start it in the same stitch right here that we slip stitched into. So right here, into that little spot. Where we ended the last round, right there. I'm going to start my yarn, and I'm going to chain 1. Now what I'm going to do is skip 1 stitch, and I'm going to do a shell into the next stitch. And the shell consists of 5 double crochets in the same stitch. So I'm skipping 1 stitch, skipping this one right here, putting a shell into the next. So I'm going to work 5 double crochets into the next stitch. Like that. And it's okay if that chain 1 kind of stretched out. That's fine, it's no big deal. Now we're going to skip 1, and we're going to single crochet into the next. Then we're going to skip 1 and work a shell into the next. So skip 1 and work 5 double crochets into the next stitch. Skip 1, single crochet into the next. Skip 1, 5 double crochets into the next. Skip 1, single crochet into the next. Skip 1, 5 doubles into the next. And this is what we're going to repeat all the way around the heart. And this is going to put that little bit of a lacy looking edge on a heart. Skip 1 and single into the next. Skip 1, 5 doubles into the next. Skip 1, single, skip 1, 5 doubles, skip 1 single, skip 1, 5 doubles. So now we're at the bottom of our heart, on the bottom point, and we're just going to continue this back up the other side of the heart, the same pattern. Skip 1 and single. There we go. So that's what it starts to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that all the way back up the other side. Okay, once you make it all the way around, you should end it in a shell. You should have 1 stitch left here to skip, I believe. And then you want to just slip stitch into the same stitch you started in. So just go right into that same spot. I'll show you here. The same spot right here that you started your white in. Slip stitch into that spot. Put that off. Pull that nice and tight. And then you want to hide that tail too on the back. Remember, the back's gonna be glued onto cardboard, so don't really have to hide the tails that great, but pull them kind of tight to get them stitches tight in there. Let's see, and then we're going to start on a pockets next. So those are really pretty easy. Okay, you should have 13 of these shells too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 13. Yep. So there is your heart. Looks pretty cute. So I'm going to set it to the side and we'll start on the pockets now. Okay, you want to start with a slip knot on your hook. And we're going to work a chain of 7. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I used my tail. That is embarrassing. Start that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're going to put 1 single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. Remember, we don't count this with this one that's on our hook. So in the second stitch, put a single crochet. And then 1 single crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. So now you should have 6 stitches. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to put 2 single crochets into this very first stitch here. The very first one. 2 of them. There's 1 and 2. Now we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the last stitch is going to get 2 single crochets into the last stitch. Just like that. So now you should have a total of 8 stitches for row 2. So row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Again, 2 single crochets into the very first stitch. And then we're going to put 1 single crochet into the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 single crochets into the last stitch. 1 and 2. So now you should have a total of 10 stitches. So for row 4, is that what we're on? 4. Chain 1 and turn. 2 single crochets into the first stitch. 1 single crochet into the next 8 stitches. Two single crochets into that last stitch. So you should have a total of 12 stitches now to the end of row 4. Now for rows 5, 6, and 7, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're just going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch. So we're working on row 5 now. 1 single in every stitch. And you should have 12 stitches here. Yeah, 12 stitches. So that was row 5. Chain 1 and turn, and repeat that. 1 single crochet in every stitch for row 6, and then turn it and do row 7. Okay, once you get those 7 rows done, you want to tie that off, but leave a long tail, enough that we can sew all the way around the pocket. Not the top part, but all the way around. So just leave a pretty long tail there. And we'll sew this on here in just a second. Now I'm going to make the pocket flap. So I'll set that to the side. So this time you want to leave a long tail in the beginning to sew that flap, the top part of the flap on. So leave a long tail there. And we're going to start off with a chain of 13. Okay, 1 single crochet in the second stitch from the hook, and 1 single crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. And when you get to the end, you should have a total of 12 stitches. So for that was row 1. Now for rows 2 and 3, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're just going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch. Start with this very first stitch. So this is row 2. 1 single crochet in every stitch until you get to the end. And then when you get to the end, you work row 3 the exact same way. Chain 1 and turn, 1 single crochet in every stitch until you get to the end of the row. So I'm going to go ahead and finish row 2, and then I'm going to do row 3, and I'll meet back up with you. You should have 12 stitches at the end of each row. Okay, I finished row 3, so we're going to do one more row. Row 4, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to do a single crochet decrease over the first 2 stitches. So we're going to go into that first stitch and draw up a loop, and then we're going to go into the next stitch and draw up a loop, and we're going to yarn over and go through all 3 loops like that. Now we're going to go ahead and put 1 single crochet in every stitch until we get to our last 2 stitches. Okay, when you make it to your last 2 stitches, we're just going to decrease over them 2. So what we're going to do is go into the next one and drop a loop, and then go into the last stitch, drop a loop, yarn over, go through all 3 loops on your hook. Then I'm going to tie this off, and that will be our flap. So let's go ahead and get these sewed on. So first off, we're going to be using this one. This is the top of the flap. Where it narrowed down is the bottom. So we're going to be using this one as the tail to sew on with. So I'm going to go ahead and sew in this other tail to the back, because otherwise it's probably just going to get in the way while we're trying to sew on the flap. I don't usually show myself sewing in tails. I don't know why. I guess I just assume everybody knows how to do it. Okay. There's that one. And then for this piece, we're going to use this real long one that we tied off here at the top. So this very first one, I'm going to go ahead and sew that in so it don't get in my way when I'm sewing, because it probably will. Probably get in my way, make me angry. It's amazing how a little string of yarn can get you so aggravated. You just want to throw it down and never crochet again. But you always do. Okay. Now, let's bring our heart over here. And this is going to get sewed on. You see how we did the big circle? I kind of just sew it to that circle right there. Like, I put it right on the edge of that circle. Like that. So I'm going to use my yarn needle and my tail here. My long tail that we clipped off. Now we're not going to sew we're not going to sew the top. We got to leave that open so we can put candy or whatever you want to put in it. But just kind of hold it on here and just kind of sew it on all the way around it, back and forth. I'm going through the whole bottom of the piece. Just kind of neatly sew it. Now the bottom, remember, is going to have cardboard on it, so you're not going to see it, but kind of get the top kind of neat if you can. And then back up the other side. Remember not to go across the top. Okay, once you get it all sewed on there, go ahead and it's all sewed on. Flip it over, hide that tail there in the back. Just a couple times because it's going to be glued on again. So, I don't think it's going to come undone. Now we're going to do our flap. So we're going to grab that. Now the part that we decreased on goes towards the bottom. So we're going to use the tail up here, and we're just going to sew across the top of this part. Not the sides or not the bottom. So I put it on here and I let it flap over a couple rows over. That way we can put our button on. About 2 rows, let it flap over. Get it nice and even. And sew it on the same way, but we're only doing the top part. If you want to pin it down, if you think that helps, you can do that too. Pin it down straight. I guess I could have did that. Probably would have helped me, but almost done now, so. All the way to the end. Flip it over, hide your tail. Okay, there's that. Now we want to take our rough draft of our heart here and kind of cut it out, make it look a little bit better. Of a heart, mine looks really rough, but just kind of cut around your cardboard. It doesn't have to be the exact size, it's kind of similar. Oh my gosh. Mine's horrible. I might redo this after the video. Okay, something like this. Mine's not very good, but you get the idea. Just, it's going to glue on here. See, it doesn't have to cover the whole heart. Just so it's going to make it thicker. So it's a... See, this one didn't cover. I guess this one was a little bit bigger, but this is fine. Then you can write whatever you want on here. Like that. And then we will glue it to the back of the heart with some hot glue. So I'll go ahead and get my hot glue ready. Okay. So what we're going to do first is take your snaps, take one of them, we're going to glue them on right about here, right in the center. And I can't seem to find my hot glue gun, so I'm going to cheat. I got a hot glue stick and a lighter. I recommend the hot glue gun, but my kids take all my stuff. So put it right in the center, a little dab of hot glue. And then glue on your snap there. And put your finger behind it so it don't go through. Hold it there for a few seconds. And now we're going to do the top one. like this. Make sure that it matches up and it's in the same spot. It's gonna go right about there. A bit of hot glue so it don't bleed through, and then snap. It's okay if it bleeds through a little bit because I'm going to put my rose on top of it. So there's that. Probably would have been cleaner if you used a hot glue gun, but it looks pretty good. So that'll snap over. And now you can see where I put that snap. That's where I'm going to put my little rose. If I had a hot glue gun, you wouldn't even be able to see that. I can't find my gun anywhere. But now I'm going to take my rose, my ribbon rose. A little bit of glue on the back of it. Don't take much. Right on top of that. Hold it for a second. There she is. So there's that. Now, I'm going to glue it to my cardboard. I'm just going to take my hot glue and put some glue around it. I wish I had my gun, but because that's probably going to dry before I get it stuck on. But just go kind of around the edges of it. If you had your gun, it would be a lot easier. I feel kind of bad. I'm like a YouTube channel that's always like showing you janky ways to do things. Not right, but then just stick it on here, kind of in the middle somewhere, or get it right where it's even. I just wing it, man, with whatever I have, as long as it works. Now what I'm going to do is go around the edges of it to make it more flat. So since I don't have my gun. See, it didn't even stick, so, because it dried. Let's do it this way. Anyways, once you get this on, that's really all there is to it. I'm not going to make you sit there and sit here and watch me do this the whole time. Doing it the janky way, I guess I said that. Hey, gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. Can't find your supplies, so you just make do with what you got. And then I put it on camera so everybody can laugh at me. You guys can laugh at my expense. It's okay. This is my hot glue gun right here. There we go. That's probably pretty good. I'll do a little bit more up here, but you get the general idea of it. So now the back's a card and you can write whatever you want, and then the front is a pocket, so you can put whatever you want to put in it. A ring or something. Piece of candy. You know, whatever you want. Give it to your Valentine. And that is it. That's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It'd be awesome. That way you don't ever miss anything. You don't ever miss any updates or any videos that I put out. If you did like this video, please, if you could give it a like and a share, I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, have a good day, everybody.